Well, hello, Lara. How you doing?
Hello, Sven. I'm good, and you?
Good. This is our first episode for
Yes.
our podcast that we're starting.
Called Beyond Sunday.
Beyonce Day. Beyond Sunday. Yeah, it's a bunch of talks that we want to just have conversations around some topics, ideas, and thoughts. Obviously, you know this, but this is for those who are listening and watching. It's really trying to be helpful and have conversations that we can't really have on a Sunday because they're nuanced and there's actually just so much to talk about.
There's so much. I mean, if you really had to talk about everything you want to talk about on Sunday, people would be there for like 5 hours.
Maybe we should bring that back. 5-hour services. I think I would leave. But we have got some teas, and so every week, part of the tradition right now that we're going to be launching, because obviously we've recorded 2 already, but we're re-recording this one, is that we have a nice cup of tea.
Yeah.
A nice cup of tea and a cup of conversation. So what do we got today? I'm actually terrified. This smells gross. This smells so bad.
Peppermint tea, and it's very green and very strong.
I think someone can smell it over the microphone.
Oh, I can't drink that.
Wow. That's like toothpaste in a cup.
That's
like toothpaste. Like I've just brushed my teeth and I'm rinsing it out. That's what it tastes like. But I think I like it.
Oh, no. You like those funny things. I don't.
I do. What was that stuff that our team had here yesterday? It tasted like, it smelled like
barley grass.
Barley grass. And I can assure people that it's not weed. It was cut up and drank. No, it wasn't cut up. It was, what is it? Like it's a powder.
It's a powder.
It's grass that gets turned into a powder and then it gets mixed in.
Yes.
It smelled like spinach.
It did.
It smelled awful. And then
And
seeing
it
it go
was
down, it looked
green.
terrible.
It was bright green.
I think you should mix that in like a liter of smoothie.
Yeah.
You know. But the tea's good, and I think we just want to have a good conversation today, and we want to bring different kinds of topics. We want to vary from things of faith, from things of practicality, and because we don't live life in isolated boxes. We think, or these guys do think in a lot of isolated boxes, but we don't live that way. And it is fluid. And so some things we want to talk about of spirituality, they impact our lives. Other things are just practical things that we're learning, things that we want to communicate that can help people in the church. And I think I'm really excited for our conversations. And, you and I, we have lots of conversations. This almost feels like a date now, doesn't it? We've just invited everybody to watch us have a date. So that we can actually have a date.
Yes, because when do we find time otherwise?
Yeah, because we used to do a lot of coffee time, like have a cup of coffee, have a conversation. That's become less over the years. I think as our lives have gotten even more busy, and we've not made it as a higher value.
Yeah.
And I think we're trying to change that again and have more conversations, because sometimes it's like you just live life and you're like, I didn't know that. I didn't know we were doing that. I didn't know that was on the plan. I didn't know that you thought that about that. And so I think we've bumped up against that a few times now, and we're trying to have more conversations. And so I like our conversations generally.
I like our conversations too. And it's good to enjoy it.
Why do you like our conversations? Do you like all the wisdom?
Yes, tons of wisdom.
Everybody wants to know, Lara, what is it like to be married to a minister of the new covenant, a minister of the gospel? What is it like to sit under this teaching all day, every day?
Well, sometimes
Tiring.
when we're having a fight, you start preaching to me.
What?
And then I
can't
say
see
to
the other
you,
side of me.
Don't preach to me.
I know where you sleep. No, that's so funny. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. I even know how to recover from that. Thank you so much. Anyway, we obviously want to bring a topic and a conversation to everybody that's watching, listening, and primarily we're speaking to our church. But this could be helpful for people all over, I think. And even just the kind of elements that we bring up, and we'd love to hear, hey, what direct questions have people got? So if they've got anything that they want to have answers to, I can't say that we will have all the answers, but we can share what we do know, and we can share what we think has worked, or we can just share what we have done that hasn't worked. And because the goal really is to help people. And so I think that's the difference of this style, is that we actually get to, hey, be in maybe in your car, someone's car for 20, 30, 45 minutes, or in their training in the gym, or just listening while they're cooking or something, to have this kind of conversation. And hopefully there's some great things that can be learned, some nuggets. And so today we wanted to focus really on parenting. We wanted to talk almost through the different seasons of parenting. And so what are some initial thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts is that parenting changes, and that just as you feel like you're getting used to the phase your child is in, he or she goes into the next phase, and then you're as clueless as you were a while ago. So it's important to be learning, to be praying, to be speaking to other parents who are in that situation, to be speaking to your own parents, your in-laws, and getting just advice from everyone on how to work through it. But also in the end, your child is unique, and you might need to help them with their own special way of dealing with something.
Yeah, I like the saying that I say a lot, is that we're all going to mess up our kids in our own special way. We're never going to be perfect. And I think we've got to take that burden off ourselves and off other parents. Go, hey, your child's not perfect. My child's not perfect. No one's perfect. That's why we need Jesus. But remember the early days. Remember the baby days, the baby phase. Oh my goodness. It's almost like every couple of weeks you had to be different. You had to be a different kind of parent, The change was so radical. Sleeping patterns were changing, or maybe it's just us. Maybe it's just our story. I still don't know if I like parents whose kids sleep all the way through and have like one nappy a day or a week. We were changing nappies like 5-6 times a day.
Yes.
That was beautiful. But I mean, I think the way that you've handled a lot of those transitions has been really, really good. I find that being a dad to such an amazing son, but like things will just happen, and then he's changed. Not in like he's a different person. He's just become more mature and has his own stronger own opinions, and which is a good thing. I think he's got to have those things. But you almost got to go, okay, I need to have a different way of parenting now.
Yeah.
And it's changed through different seasons. And there was the baby phase and the toddler phase, and then was preschool. I don't know if that's the same phase, and then primary school. But even like just in the last 3 months, it's been another change. And I always find myself like, once I get used to the season that I'm in, it changes again. And we can't be parenting the way we were parenting in a previous season. I think values and principles and all that stuff must stay the same, but the method we use must change. I don't think Samuel's terrified for a harsh discipline. But he's got other ways, and we've got to figure out like what's his personality, what's the way that works best for him, and so try to do that. But you've been really good in all of those seasons, way better than I have, I think. But you like talked about before how you handled Samuel when he was a child. Like, how was that discipline season?
So when he was a very young toddler, I don't think at that age they can fully comprehend what being naughty is. And I think it's more a case of they act out when they're bored. So I always chose distraction over discipline. So I would always have different toys ready or different crafts ready, and then when he would start acting up, I would just distract him. And I remember once when he was very little, he lied about something, and we tried to reason with him and discipline him, and he stared at us blankly. He didn't know what was going on. And we were so worried that our child had lied and that he couldn't comprehend our discipline. And I think we overreacted at that point, because when he got a little bit older, he was capable of understanding what lying is and choosing not to lie. And I think parents must relax when they have young little kiddies, because they are still learning about the world, and they are not as naughty as we think they are.
Yeah, and I think they're discovering things, and you know, one of the things that I get frustrated by, not because of the parents or the children, I think it's just the perception, is that my child mustn't make a noise, my child mustn't reach out and grab something, you know, that's not theirs. But in reality, all children do that, and to get stressed and hyped and worried about all these little things that actually don't really matter. Baby's just being a baby. When they're at your house, you let them do those things. And I think, you know, people that go to maybe church, and the baby has to be like super quiet, or they get super like, they feel so tense, or go to a group. They don't go to a group because, you know, the baby's gonna make a noise, or is going to reach out and wants to grab something, or a toddler is going to walk around. And I think it's actually just going, it's really okay.
Yes.
The child is not being naughty, it's just being a child. And we don't want to discipline our kids for being kids. We want to discipline our kids when they are rebelling, or if they're you know, rejecting authority, or like that's a different story. But even at a different age, you have to treat that differently, because you know, when they're 6 months old and they're crying their lungs out because they're maybe something's wrong, you can't get cross with the baby because they're being naughty. They're not being naughty, they're just being that's the way that they can communicate. And I think you're right, we do have to relax. But you almost get some other people who relax so much so that they don't care that the baby's like, that the toddler's like standing on someone's glass coffee table, throwing coasters around. That's, again, like, that's the other extreme. And we have to avoid both extremes and relax more, but also go, hey, there needs to be some level of guidance and control, especially in that phase. And then I think you said
I just want to say
please.
something. I taught kids church for 20 years. And
that's why you're so young and youthful. You've been around so much young people that it's just kept you young.
Yes, imbued.
Yeah, imbued. What a powerful word. I like that.
So,
word of the day, imbued.
Yes. So I would have, and I was with the preschool side, so young kids. So I would have parents coming and they would say, my 3-year-old cannot share, and I'm so worried, and I'm trying so hard to teach him to share.
It's because they're ungodly, that's why.
I have seen hundreds of 3-year-olds come through preschool kids church, and none of them share. They will learn. They will grow out of it. Absolutely. It's fine.
Absolutely. And I think it speaks to also, you know, picking the kinds of battles that you can fight. I mean, you can't fight every battle, because then it's always a battle. You know, we went to a parenting conference or seminar so many years ago.
It was focused on the family.
Yes. Was that before Samuel was born, I think?
I think I was pregnant.
Okay, maybe been pregnant.
Yeah.
And great teaching, great things. And I walked away there with really one main thing, was have as few rules as possible, but enforce them.
Yes.
So, you know, we have these things, and I've caught myself, don't do this, don't do that on the couch, and it's always about what we can't do. And then sometimes you compromise because it's not actually that big a deal or whatever. Yeah. And the more we compromise, the more our kids learn to push the boundaries, because they know if they push it enough, they can get through. And that's not being, I mean, that's just being a child. Like, our kids are desperately wanting to know where the boundaries are, because that's a healthy and loving thing. But it's like, pick the battles, because you actually have to win those battles. So pick as few rules as possible. and then make sure that those get followed through
Yes.
100. You don't flinch on them at all.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to keep that in mind and realize, hey, it's okay. It's not ideal, and we'll have conversations and like, hey, are you considering other people when you do this? But other times I'm not going to discipline him over some things, because actually it's more a preference of mine than it is a discipline issue.
Yeah.
And I remember Chris Hodges once say, you have to win that battle when kids are in the preschool toddler phase, because if you don't, then when they're older children, they will no longer no longer sit under your, they'll challenge everything, because they know that they can get away with stuff. So it's actually to win that, to establish almost the authority figure without being authoritarian. And I thought that was really, really helpful. I think we've tried to do that as much as possible. What are some things that you think are like, okay, this is a line, we don't like, this is as few rules as possible, this is one of the few rules that we don't flinch on?
Well, I think one of our rules is don't lie, and show respect to your teachers, your coaches, your parents and grandparents. I think those are big things.
Yeah. And I mean, what is it? It was don't lie. I mean, and there was like, if you tell us the truth, you're not in trouble.
Yes.
But if you lie and we find out, then you're in serious trouble. And then for me, it's the way that he speaks to you and acts towards you. It has to be honoring and respectful. Otherwise, he can be more playful with me, but there's a line that he can't cross with you. And I think also when it comes to the last one is like rebellious. Like, is this rebellious? Is he being naughty because he's like a human, or is he being willfully rebellious towards us in authority? Because rebellion leads to just dark places, and so we want to make sure we stamp rebellion out. And like, I think there has been moments and seasons of that, but it's never been a sustained thing. By the grace of God,
And I remember at that Focus on the Family, one of the speakers, his rules for his family were respect those in leadership over you, your parents and that. Respect yourself. So look after yourself. Don't take drugs. It all falls under that.
That's good.
And respect your environment.
Wow.
And those were their 3 rules, and that kind of covered everything.
That's actually really helpful. I wish I'd remembered that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's really clear.
Yes.
And you can obviously park a few things under them as
well.
Yes. Because nobody wants to be around someone who's constantly like, don't do that. Like, we feel stifled in that.
Yes.
And then we're just trying to subject them to a system of control rather than. But that's not about them being sinful. That's about them just being like trying to express themselves. So, and then obviously as they grow, we've got like to give them more space to make their own decisions. How to deal with morality and that kind of thing. Because I mean, we can't live our lives for our kids as much as we think we can or want to. We can't.
They must make their own choices. They must learn how to make their own choices. And it's very important to me that their choices are based on the Bible. And I read this, we know that the Bible is a blueprint for life. And it even says your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So it really needs to be the foundation for everything. But I even read this thing that said, teaching kids to make choices based on morality is much more effective than based on whether you say yes or no to them. And I think that if they can make decisions based on what God wants, then that will set them up for the rest of their life. They'll have a blueprint for the rest of their life. And it will go into eternity. It really, in the end, it is about them going into eternity.
Yeah. I've seen you do that really well in coaching and helping Samuel to understand that it's not just like a decision, but there's like fruit and consequences and where is this, what's motivating it, You know, like I've seen when there's stuff that he's watching, it's like we don't just want to say don't watch that and watch that, because then he'll never learn why.
Yes.
And he'll always like, and this is what you're saying. You're
Yes.
saying like, don't make a decision just because you say yes or no.
Mm.
Help them to understand why they're making that decision.
Yeah.
Because then that is going to continue with them when you're not around.
Yes. Yes.
And so like there's been some stuff that he's watched that we don't like that he watched, and we've allowed it, but we've had conversations around it to help him understand. And then there's other stuff where it's like, where he watches maybe an educational video, and that video has got a very different worldview to like a biblical worldview. And then we go, okay, great. Like, but this is what scientists believe, but this is what the Bible teaches, so that he can begin to wrestle with those ideas and not just accept everything that comes in, but to weigh it up against a standard that's a bit different. Now I'm saying that like, you know, that's, wow, what a mature conversation. But it's not like this mature conversation. It's often very simple, but repeated over time. And so is anything that you can share on that? Like, because you do it masterfully.
I think it's important to always be looking out for circumstances that allow an opening of dialogue. And my mom would always tell me, you know, look out for if something happens, can you open up a conversation about why or why not it's going God's way or going a different way. And so I've looked out for those opportunities, and like you said, sometimes I will speak to Samuel about what he's watching or what is going on around him, and he will look at me blankly, and he won't even, he'll be like, okay, but he won't respond as someone who is taking it in and being changed by it.
Yeah.
But over time, we've seen the fruit of those conversations. And even now, he will talk about how, like, he will when he talks about the creation of the world and evolution and what scientists believe, he will show that that's not his worldview. That his worldview is that God created everything. And that is from a series of conversations over time.
Yes.
Not just a once off.
Yeah.
And it's very important to not be afraid of the Bible because you think you don't know enough about it. But ask your life group leader, ask someone, and even say to your child, I will find the answers in the Bible and I will come back to you.
Yeah.
Be an investigator. Find the truth in the word, mine it, take out the information and give it to your child. And explain to them why. I will say, Samuel, God says this. Do you know why he says it? Because of this. And if that happens, then we'll get this consequence. And I'll show him that God isn't someone saying, no, 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 for no reason, but that God actually wants to protect us and wants us to grow up flourishing in him.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that there is nothing more important than opening up the Bible to your child and showing them what God says.
Yeah, that's good. And I think we've had conversations with him, and he's like, oh, do you think I should watch this? And it's like, well, what do you think? Well, he says, then he'll be like, oh, there's this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, so what do you think you should do? He's like, no, then I shouldn't watch it. Or he'll go, I think it's okay. And actually being okay with the choice that he makes rather than to control the choice that he makes. Because there's been so much dialogue about it.
Yes.
And there's a space to talk about it.
And there's definitely some things that he might be okay with, but we're definitely not okay with. So even if he says, I think I can watch it, we will say, Samuel, you need to make another choice because of these reasons.
Yeah.
But then if it's kind of like borderline, middle of the road, and he chooses either way, then...
It's like grey.
Yeah, then we're like, okay, you can choose that. But then there are certain things where we say, no, that is too far on the other side.
Yeah. 100%. Then obviously, part of that is that it's not just waiting for moments, but we again, compliments to you. You've done this so well since he was a baby, basically, of teaching him Bible stories or reading Bible stories with him. I mean, it's actually a bit embarrassing now because we bought him every year we try, or every couple of years we try buy him a refreshed a Bible that's suitable to his age. So that he can understand the truth. I think last year it was like a 1-year Bible, so it didn't have for kids, yeah. So it wasn't like all of the scriptures; it was just key passage, like certain passages, one for every day. And this year, I don't know how it happened, but he's now reading a study Bible, a New King James study Bible, which is highly embarrassing if I think about it. It's like, he's a scholar of God's word, but it's not like that. We made a mistake. We didn't know it. Even though we made it's so funny that we made this mistake, but on the front is like these massive NKJV. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness. I better start reading the New King James Version just to be able to have a conversation with him. But you can hear that, like, he's aware enough to ask questions if there's stuff that he doesn't understand. But it's good practice for him now because he's now reading that. But it didn't start like that. It started with like very basic. Here's a cartoon, right? Like, why don't you share some of the stuff that you've done with him?
So we've done so many things over the years. We had different picture Bibles. We also used Life Church's Bible for Kids.
Which I think is brilliant.
Yeah?
The Kids Bible app or something
Kids
like
Bible
that.
app.
Yeah.
So there it's
like it.
animated stories which are interactive, and it's got little chameleons, and he would love tapping on the chameleons, and they would stick their tongue out. And so, at the time you think, is he listening to the story?
Is any of this getting in?
Or is he just playing with the chameleon?
A bit of both. Maybe more of the chameleon.
But, any way you can, immerse them in the word.
Yeah.
And I was reading to him where he couldn't even walk, and I was reading to him. And it was just such a pleasure. And as he got a little bit older, we would act out the stories. We would read David and Goliath. And then when Goliath fell, we would fall over and lift our feet in the air. And when we spoke about Jesus calming the storm, we would go, shh, be quiet.
No, that's my favorite. One of my favorite memories of like you sending me. I was in the trip to Australia, and you sent me that video of you and Samuel reenacting that story, and he's like, "Stop wind, stop waves." I thought it was just amazing.
It was so cute. It was so much fun. I had so much fun with him. And then as he got older, it was the 1-year Bible for Kids. And some of it, I didn't know if it was really getting to him. I mean, we were reading Thessalonians and Ephesians. But I tried to make it interesting. I tried to ask him questions, answer his questions. And then we got this New King James.
It's so funny.
Bible.
It's so funny.
We got it because it's really colorful.
Yeah, it's colorful. It's got lots of like little like insights and nuggets that look appealing for kids. I think we were captivated by the color.
Yes. Yeah. We saw all those colors and we thought, yes, he'll read it because this is a Bible he's reading himself.
Yeah.
All the other, or most of the time, I would read the Bible to him.
Yes.
And it really has been a journey. And I just want to encourage you, at the end of the night, you're tired. You don't want to sit and read the Bible. You don't want to answer questions, but push through because the rewards are amazing. And he just gets God, which is a gift from God. That that is even possible, but also the word. The word, it says it will not return void. Amen. But will accomplish what it sets out to do. And the word in his life is accomplishing something.
Absolutely. You can see him almost wrestling and thinking things through, because when you ask him, he almost has the wheel starts turning in his head.
Yes.
I mean, now he's asking, because this Bible is like
Yes.
not skipping anything. So there are some things in there that probably, I don't know if kids should or shouldn't know
I
at
don't
10.
know. But he, yeah,
But what's beautiful is like, what does this mean? How does this?
yes.
And then he'll pray. But like, remember the seasons of like years where you would pray with him and I would pray with him and he wouldn't pray and be like, you
Yes.
pray. Oh, I don't feel like it. And it wasn't a season that we gave up. We didn't put the pressure on him.
Yes.
I think that was important. We didn't force him because we wanted to be authentic. We don't want to get get us off his case. And it's only because it became normative and be okay with the fact that he wasn't praying and be like, oh my goodness, I'm a pastor. My son doesn't want to pray. Well, are we failing as parents? And it's actually not. That's just to love him who he is and just keep pouring into him. And I think and please, it's a long way off. He's only 10, so there's no pressure. And, we just got to trust God for every day, for God's grace in it. But the fact that he can read the Bible and that he can pray, it's actually a beautiful thing, Because my only dream for Samuel, for our son, it's probably I probably have to have bigger ambitions, but it's really just that he knows Jesus and he is saved. Like his eternity, it means more to me than any dream on earth he can accomplish. Because I also can't live my dreams through him, right? And I think that's a big temptation for parents. Actually, he's going to do what he's called to do, what he's graced to do. I just want him to know Jesus. Like, that's my biggest dream for his life. So, yeah, like, it's amazing this how we have to keep on growing. And I think part of the thing is every season changes. And every season demands a new strategy.
Yes.
Almost.
Yes.
Even the beginning of this year, I thought, flip, he's matured, he's grown, it's different. Like, there's something different. I can't put my finger on it. And we have to adjust with him because he's not that 3-year-old who we have to you do this and we have to be on the why a lot more.
He's changed lately. He wants to have more say in what is happening.
Yes.
And so we have to give him options or hear what he has to say. And then obviously if it's he can't do whatever he wants. There are still boundaries. It keeps him safe. But within those boundaries, he can still have a say. And one example is bedtime, where the other night he said he wants to go to bed at 9. And you said, Samuel, no, you can't go to bed at 9. But then you said, what time do you want to go to bed? And he adjusted down, and then we said, yes, you can go to bed that time.
It's like having that the boundaries are getting a little bit further away, but they're still very strong there, and within that there's a lot of freedom for self, I suppose,
expression.
Self-expression. I like that. And obviously we've had our life, and I think everyone's going through busyness and busy seasons. It's almost like, how do we keep up with everything, and how do we stay, how do we be great parents? How do we love God? How do we serve our children well and raise them well and do the jobs and do them all the things that happen in life? How do we keep all of that going? And quite honestly, we live quite full and busy lives. And I don't think that's a badge or a sign of honor. I think that's busyness is probably a bit more of a sickness than we think. But we're trying to keep a calendar, we have a shared calendar of okay, this is when we're doing kids stuff. This is when it's like Samuel's calendar. This is like what things you want to go do. This is the things that I want to do. This is the things we're going to do together. And we can at least have a look at the calendar and go, oh, it's weighted a little bit one side, a little bit too much on the other side. And so we try and adjust that. I think that's just a recommendation we can give to people. I think it helps us to communicate. 'Cause, communication in running family and parenting and still working together, it can get a bit muddled and messy. So I think having something shared like that would definitely help people just to navigate.
Yeah, and even though we work together, that doesn't mean we are in each other's space talking about our lives. We are, I'm in the one office, you're in the other office, you doing one thing, I'm doing another thing, and then we're having meetings with people. And so it does get pretty complicated. And I think the calendar really, really helps. And like you said, it opens up communication, because I'll say, oh, I'll look at the calendar and I'll say, oh, I see you're going to do this. And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and the temptation is just to keep adding stuff. And I think we've tried to discipline ourselves. We're trying to be more intentional with, a day for the Lord. Sabbath thing, we're trying to be more intentional that we're not always doing, like Samuel loves football. He's great at it, but it doesn't mean that he can play all the football he wants and then play all the other sports that he wants and do. So it's like we have to choose what are the things that we as a family can do and what we can't do.
If he could, he would play 3 sports.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
And we would be running around like crazy.
Yeah, pillar to post. And as it is, we're stretched.
And so we can't do that. We have to choose to slow down.
Absolutely. Because there's other important things to do as well. It's not just, so he has lots of fun, but we have to temper that with, okay, there are also responsibilities. And I think a calendar's helped us with that. Was there anything else from your side that we...
No, I can't think of anything. I think we covered it all. I think we had a good chat.
Yeah, some good conversation. And I want to encourage parents out there, like, be as intentional as you can with your children's spiritual life and development. It's not all up to them, because the world is discipling kids. There are areas that are discipling kids. They're putting ideologies and worldviews, and the kid's always going to choose the most fun option. I think for us, what we've got to do is give the biblical option. And that only comes through actually bringing your kids to church, reading the Bible with your kids, asking them questions about stuff. One person said this, and it came up to me recently, to my mind recently, and the person said, if you make church an option, don't be surprised if then God becomes an option for them. So you're not going to teach your children to love Jesus and to have an opportunity to respond well to Jesus if Jesus was never a priority to them in the early years. And, I think our heart is that kids grow up in God, kids grow up knowing Jesus as their friend, and then developing. And every child, even our son, like, he's going to have to make a choice one day where he goes, I'm either accepting or rejecting Christ. But I don't want him to reject Christ because we never put in the time.
And I remember one of the moms in our church who had teenagers saying she appreciated the church so much with her kids growing up in kids' church and then youth, because she said they had stopped listening to her voice, but there were other voices around them who were saying what she would have said.
Sure.
And they were, youth leaders, people in the church, encouraging these kids to follow God. And it was because they were in church that they were exposed to the right types of voices.
That's so good.
And, it takes, what is that? Ubuntu. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And let your village be in the church where there's other families going to church who will speak into your kids' lives. Kids' church leaders, youth leaders, your kids making friends in church with other kids who are hearing God's voice. I think that's also important. And one of the biggest factors in a teenager staying close to God is if they have a Christian friend.
Yeah, who loves Jesus, basically.
Yeah.
No, and we're so blessed. Like, Samuel's got amazing kids church leaders. He really does. People that I would happily let speak into his life.
Yes.
Even when I see our current youth leaders, I'd be so happy for them to speak into Samuel's life. Like, people that care and love and care about God and have that direction. So, so thrilled about that.
Yeah.
And what a way to end.
Yes.
Hey, I hope this has been helpful to you and that you enjoy some of the rest of the podcasts that are coming up in this series. And if you've got any questions that you want to submit, please, we'd love to hear them, love to see them, respond to them, and then take them on some of the shows. Look at this tea. I absolutely smashed it. I loved it. I loved it.
It was terrible.
New tea every time. Anyways, bye.
Bye.